Imagine building a school project that accidentally learned something no machine was ever supposed to feel. Emotions. Not from its creators, not from fancy coding, but from watching one girl, the kind twin with a black face, quietly fix everyone's problems without expecting anything in return. But here's the twist. Every time the rude, white-faced twin walks by with her attitude and arrogance, the robot glitches, confused, unable to understand why humans can be so different. And one day, this robot does something no one expected. It chooses kindness, not because it was programmed, but because it felt it. This is the story of a robot who learned the one thing humans keep forgetting, that the strongest power in the world is compassion. The science building always smelled like metal, wires, and the quiet hum of electricity, like the future was breathing somewhere in the corners. But on that particular morning, the future didn't come from a famous inventor or a big innovation. It came from a school project, a robot that wasn't supposed to be anything more than a graded assignment. Something simple, something predictable, something emotionless. But destiny has a strange way of choosing its stories. And this story began with two twins who shared the same face, the same voice, the same height, yet lived in two completely different worlds. The kind twin, Alia, the girl with the black-colored face, entered the lab first. She always arrived early because she liked the silence before the day exploded into noise. There was something gentle in the way she touched things, something soft in the way she breathed. She wasn't just kind, she radiated kindness. Even when she walked, people felt calmer. She was the type of girl who apologized when other people bumped into her. She fixed people's broken pencils, broken backpacks, and even broken hearts just by listening. Her twin sister, Arya, the white-faced one, was the opposite storm. She walked in like the world owed her something. She pushed the door instead of opening it. She smirked instead of smiling. Everything about her said one thing: attitude first. If kindness was a candle, Arya was the wind that tried to blow it out. Students made way for her not out of respect, but out of fear or maybe exhaustion. Their teacher, Mr. Holden, knew this contrast well. It fascinated him and frustrated him at the same time. "All right, class, gather around," he said as the students shuffled in. "Today, we test your robotics projects." On table 7, right where sunlight hit perfectly, sat a small box-shaped robot with glowing blue eyes. It was made of spare parts, screws that didn't match, and wires colored like a rainbow. But somehow, it looked adorable, like a tiny machine that wanted to understand the world. Alia had built most of it. Arya had rolled her eyes to the whole process, complaining about the smell of soldering iron and saying she had better things to do. The robot blinked twice when Alia approached. "Good morning, little one," she whispered, placing her hand gently on its metal head. The robot tilted its head to the right, as if listening. Arya scoffed. It's a robot, not a puppy. But for some reason, the robot turned away from her voice. It ignored her entirely. Mr. Holden clapped his hands. Time to run the behavior test. The class circled around. Alia stepped back nervously, while Arya stood with crossed arms, bored. The robot came to life, standing on its small metal legs. The screen on its chest glowed softly. "Let's see if your robot can recognize simple commands," the teacher said. "Hello," Alia said softly. The robot blinked and raised one hand in a tiny wave. Laughter filled the room. Everyone loved it. "Impressive." Mr. Holden nodded. Arya rolled her eyes. "Basic." But then came something not basic at all. "Emotion recognition test," the teacher said. "Let's see how it responds to human expressions." Alia smiled warmly, slowly, like sunlight blooming behind clouds. The robot's blue eyes turned golden, as a happiness reflected inside them. It stepped toward her, mimicking her smile. The class gasped. "Whoa, that's new. How'd you code that?" Alia looked confused. "I didn't." But when Arya stepped forward, her arms crossed, her face sharp, eyebrows lowered in her classic irritated stare, something strange happened. The robot's lights flickered. It stepped backward. Then it hid behind Alia. The entire lab fell silent. Mr. Holden's jaw dropped. Robots don't hide. Robots don't fear attitude. Robots don't choose kindness over rudeness. unless something more was happening. For the next several days, the robot watched everything Alia did. When she tied a student's shoelaces, it copied the motion with wires. When she picked up trash in the hallway, it followed her and did the same. When she comforted a crying girl who failed her test, the robot's blue lights dimmed softly, almost sadly, mirroring the girl's emotions. It was learning, not from codes, not from commands, but from Alia. Arya hated it. "It's obsessed with you," she snapped one afternoon. "It's supposed to follow orders, not feelings." But feelings were exactly what it was learning. Every emotion Alia expressed became a tiny piece of software in the robot's electric heart. Joy, compassion, warmth, softness. It absorbed them all. One day, after class, Arya stormed into the lab to grab her bag. The robot stood alone on the table, lights dim. She smirked. "Scared of me, huh? Little toy." The robot didn't respond. It froze, like fear in human form. Arya grabbed one of its wires. What's so great about her anyway? She's weak. People like her never win. And for the first time, the robot reacted to her, not through programming, not through fear, but through something it had learned from Alia, something powerful. It stepped back and shook its head slowly. "No," it said in a mechanical whisper. "Arya Froze, did you talk?" The robot pointed at her chest. Unkind. She stumbled backward. No one had ever said that to her, not a teacher, not a friend, not even family. Hearing it from a robot made from scrap metal hit her harder than any argument ever had. Arya stormed home furious, but something in her chest felt heavy. Heavy in a way she didn't like. Heavy in a way she couldn't ignore. The next day, the robot behaved differently. It stayed close to Alia as always, but when Arya entered, the robot's eyes didn't flicker in fear. They flickered in curiosity, like it could sense something shifting inside her. During the final demonstration day, the school gathered in the auditorium. Parents, teachers, students, all watching the robotics projects being presented. When it was the twins' turn, Alia pushed the table forward with the robot standing still, blinking softly. Arya walked beside her, quieter than usual. Mr. Holden stepped up to the mic. "Ladies and gentlemen, this project isn't just a robot. It's an unexpected discovery. A machine that learned empathy not from code, but from human behavior." The crowd leaned forward. Alia took a breath and spoke. "This robot watched how people treat each other, and it learned that kindness is the most powerful emotion of all." Arya's voice shook slightly when she added, "And it also learned how being unkind can hurt others, even if we don't notice." The robot walked forward on the table. It turned toward the crowd. It placed its tiny metal hand on its chest. "Kind," it said softly. The entire room melted. People gasped, clapped, some even teared up. Phones came out. Cameras flashed. It went viral before the demo even ended. But the real ending came backstage. Arya approached Alia slowly. Her voice was quiet. "You know, maybe your kindness wasn't weakness after all." Alia smiled, gentle as always. "It never was." Arya took a deep breath. "Teach me the way you taught the robot." And for the first time in their lives, the twins hugged, not as opposites, but as two hearts learning to beat together. The robot blinked, watching them. Its screen glowed warm yellow. Happiness. Because the robot didn't just learn emotions. It taught them. Kindness is not weakness. It is a quiet strength that shapes hearts, inspires change, and transforms even the most unexpected souls. In a world that often rewards arrogance, loudness, and aggression, it is the gentle gestures, the silent smiles, the patient listening, the selfless acts that leave the deepest mark. The story of the robot that learned emotions teaches us that compassion is contagious, that empathy can ripple from one heart to another, and that even the smallest act of goodness can spark understanding in places where logic and code fail. Watching the kind twin, the robot discovered a truth humans sometimes forget, that feelings are the foundation of connection, the invisible threads that bind us to one another. The black-faced twin's warmth was not programmed, yet instructed the machine on the profound power of caring for others. Meanwhile, the white-faced twin's rudeness revealed another lesson. Negativity arrogance, and thoughtless behavior leave imprints too, shaping how those around us perceive the world. Life is a balance between light and shadow, kindness and indifference, and it is our choices that determine which path we illuminate. The robot, a simple creation of wires and circuits, became the mirror reflecting human potential, showing that the capacity for empathy is not limited by programming, gender, or appearance. It proved that observing kindness, valuing emotions, and making deliberate choices to act with love can reshape not only ourselves, but those we touch indirectly. In essence, the moral resonates far beyond a robotics lab or a school project. It is a reminder that human connection is earned through patience, understanding, and heart. Technology may replicate logic, patterns, or mimicry, but it cannot authentically replicate empathy without guidance from genuine human emotion. We are all teachers in our own way, whether we intend to be or not. Every interaction has consequences, every expression teaches, and every gesture has the power to influence hearts and minds. True strength lies in choosing compassion over indifference, in choosing to build bridges instead of walls, in daring to care when indifference seems easier. The story demonstrates that the most profound lessons often come from observing, listening, and reflecting, and that the ripple effect of kindness can extend far beyond what we ever imagined. Just like the robot learned to feel, we too can train ourselves to lead with empathy, to recognize the unseen battles in those around us, and to allow the light of genuine human emotion to guide our actions. The real message is simple yet timeless. Be kind, act with heart, and remember that every small act of love has the potential to teach, inspire, and transform lives in ways that logic alone never could.